So, in case you haven't seen it, I'm sure you have, this happened.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Ooh.
That's not right.
One of the weirdest things that's ever happened in TV history. I'm sure you've seen it a million times, probably talked it to death. I'm not going to say a lot of the same things you've probably already heard. There's been a ton of great stuff out there, but we could have 5 episodes straight on what happened that night, because the slap to me isn't the scariest part of the night, all right? We're going to talk about how Hollywood does not like you, but it's a big confusing night. So you have Will Smith go and assault someone, and then 5 minutes later talks about how he is a river of love to his people. Hollywood puts out so much confusing stuff. It's almost like
it is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
Yeah, it is kind of like that, isn't it? We're going to jump in today. Basically, here's what we're going to talk about this. Number one, how broken and confused Hollywood is, but they see themselves as all of our moral betters. Number two, how Hollywood despises anyone like me and you who do not share their absolutely confused values. Number three, stop listening. Stop listening to these people. And it reminds me of a good joke, all right, which is Dave Chappelle playing Rick James via Charlie Murphy stories. What did the 5 fingers say to the face?
What did the 5 fingers say to the face?
What?
Slap!
What?
Slap!
That's exactly what Will Smith did to Chris Rock, but more importantly, that's exactly what Hollywood is doing to us. We're going to jump into Cooper stuff. Cooper stuff! What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Cooper Stuff. All right, here we go. We got to talk about all the tea about this Hollywood thing. Here's the deal. I wasn't going to talk about the Will Smith thing. Everybody's been talking about it. It's obviously a bunch of it's important to be a celebrity gossip, and everybody wants to talk about it. I watched a lot of great people takes on it, but interesting. I had some takes that were a little bit different, because I think the slap is just a microcosm of something actually kind of big. So we're going to share some super duper clever stuff on here. A couple of things that I haven't heard anybody else say. I didn't think I was that clever, but maybe I was wrong. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to jump into that. Really, the biggest thing happening is not the slap. The biggest thing is the fact that Hollywood slaps all of us all the time. All right, so we're going to jump into that. But before we do, as you already know, Russia has invaded Ukraine. Some people said, John, you're going to talk about it. It's a little above my head. I'm not going to say a lot, but here's a really fantastic explanation that we have straight from the vice president.
So Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong.
I mean, I think that kind of clears everything up. I don't know. Why do you need me to talk about it? Yes, that is happening. Yes, it is going to affect the whole world. It right now is affecting the economy. It certainly is going to affect inflation and prices and currency and this and this and this. What you might want to consider doing is doing what I do, is I put a little bit of my money in gold. Not a lot. I put a little bit of money in gold. I'm not a financial advisor, so do not take my word for it. But if you want some information, you got to reach out to my friends at SD Bullion. A friend of mine said, with all this crazy stuff going on, maybe I need to buy some gold and hide it in my backyard. I wouldn't hide it in your backyard, but I would look into buying gold. All you got to do is text my friends at SD Bullion, okay? The number is 465-322. That spells gold 22. 465-322. Text the word Cooper. They're going to send you information. You're not obligated to do anything. You just read about it, find out if it's what you're into. So my friends SD Bullion are working to educate Christians about the benefits of investing in precious metals. They're a Christian-run company, and they're passionate about providing the lowest prices and the best customer service. If you're not totally sure what to do or how to invest, don't worry about it at all. Text Cooper 465-322 to get in touch with SD Bullion. They'll send you a free gold and silver investing guide for beginners. Of course, if you're ready to do it today, you send that text through. They will hook you up with a discount on your first purchase. You may want to look into it, talk to some friends, find out what's going on. Okay, jumping in Hollywood. Here's the thing. We have the slap. That's its own thing. We'll get to it. We'll talk about stuff. Here's the thing. And we're not going to talk about a whole lot of Bible stuff today. I had too much. I had too much I wanted to get on, and then I was like, you know what? I should save the Bible thing for the next time. Maybe I'll do a part 2 explaining a few things that I do think are biblically important. Today is going to be more about like culture take. What is this? What can we learn from X, Y, and Z? Here's what we can learn. There's the slap. That's bad. Fine. That is a microcosm of something else. Hollywood is slapping all of us. They hate you. They hate me. And I know this, John, you're speaking so generally. Everybody in Hollywood, I'm not, all right, fine, not everybody, but Hollywood as a whole is absolutely monolithic. You are not allowed to think anything outside of what is approved. You know this. And do they hate you? Well, I don't know if they hate you. Do you agree with Cooper stuff? If you watch Cooper stuff and you go, I agree with Cooper stuff, then they hate you. I can promise you that. They hate me. If you watch Cooper stuff and you go, I don't always agree with Cooper stuff, but I do some of the time. If there's some good culture, then they hate you. See, in other words, they don't have any discrimination in hating. Let me explain. Here's what I mean. They don't hate some people a ton and hate other people a little bit. It is all or nothing. And if you do not fall in line with Hollywood, then Hollywood hates you. So it's not like they hate you a little bit and me even more. No. If you don't fall in line with every single thing they say you have to do, then you are done. That is how they do. They disassociate from you. That's what cancel culture is. That's what virtue signaling is. Virtue signaling is, I saw something, I got to be the first one to say I hate it and I disapprove so I can disassociate from all those horrible people out there and I can be somebody good. And I'm signaling, this is me, I'm good, I want some. Hold on. I want some woke cooking. Somebody gave this to me on the road and I kept it just so I could show it in here. I need some of those woke cookies. That's what we need. That's what virtue signaling is. Not like those people. That's what you have to do in Hollywood. If you don't believe me, we're going to jump into it in one second. But here's the thing. I'm not just being Mr. Meanie Pants. I'm not just being mean like those people are immoral and we don't like them. No, this isn't about that. This is why. Let me tell you why Hollywood irks me. It's the reason I talk about Hollywood in my book. I mention Hollywood. I talk about Hollywood on stage. It's celebrity culture. It's Hollywood culture and the elites and yada, yada. Let me explain to you why. It's not just because they have a different moral standard than me. In other words, I don't just go around being mean to everybody that has a different moral standard than me. They are not believers. I want them to know Jesus, right? I know the only reason I believe in the moral standard of the Bible is because God has done a work in my heart, right? It's all about His grace. So I don't go around just being Mr. Meanie Pants to people. This is why Hollywood is so uniquely irksome to me. It's a good word, isn't it? It's a good word. This is what just, it gets under my skin. Let me tell you. It's because not only do they have a different moral standard, but they are constantly moralizing. They see themselves as the most righteous, best people, the most moral people they are, and they spend all their time on pedestals telling you peons and you rubes and you dumb people how to live because they know what is right and good. And it doesn't matter that in reality, Hollywood culture is a cesspool of wickedness. I said it. Somebody's going to tweet it. John said, yeah, I said it. Say it again for the people in the back. Cesspool. Cesspool. I just made that up. I can't help it how the Holy Spirit gives me great songs. So it is a cesspool of wickedness. When we all saw Harvey Weinstein, all these people coming out, you know what he did to me? And people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Hollywood wasn't surprised. Hollywood's like, I can believe that. We've known that for a really long time. Nobody can do anything about it because he's the power elite, and this is just what we have to do. This is why Alec Baldwin, and I mean this with all sincerity, honestly, like God bless him. I mean, this guy has to live, and I'm not being facetious. I know I get sarcastic. I'm not being facetious. This guy has to live with the fact that he shot someone, all right? And I'm presuming, of course, he says that it was an accident. I assume that that's accurate. I don't have any reason to think that it's not. It's a horrible thing for him to have to live with. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. But you see Alec Baldwin, who spends his life moralizing to you about how evil guns are, but spending his life making films about guns. Now, I know some people goes, John, it's not the same as acting. Yeah, but but if you truly believe this, like in other words, I believe that abortion is wrong. So would go, well, it's just my job to sing about abortion. What if I had songs that was talking about how great it is that, that it's okay, we had abortion access and that's really great. Well, I'm like, I'm just pretending. I'm just singing someone else's song. They spend their life moralizing about guns, but they spend their careers glorifying guns. That is an obvious hypocrisy. I wouldn't mind if in his personal life he's like, yeah, I don't believe in guns or whatever. I wouldn't be bringing it up to make fun of. But he moralizes to us. You see, it's the same people moralizing us. There's all the hashtag Me Too movement. But at the same time, they're the ones with the casting couch. They're the ones saying, if you want to get the gig, here's all the sexual things that you have to do in order to get it, right? The cesspool of Hollywood is so bad, you guys. That's the reason that I have to just bring it up. So we have the slap. The slap is going to show us something really important culturally that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about. Now, obviously, there are people saying it was horrible. You have the privilege angle that maybe if this wasn't a Hollywood thing, if this was just like a normie, if this was me, I'd probably be arrested. You have all those conversations, and those are all good conversations. But we're dealing with something else here, which is the unbelievable, not just hypocrisy of Hollywood, the fact that they moralize to you whilst they have chaos in their own heart. They have no standards to live up to. They're absolutely confused about what those standards are. And that's the reason I say that Hollywood is constantly slapping us. You're talking about people that have been degrading women for decades. I mean, decades. Hollywood leads the culture, right? In other words, it's not politics that drives what Hollywood does. Hollywood drives the culture. Politics is downstream from culture. So they've had a chance to make this world a better place. They've been degrading women for decades, pushing pornography for decades, pornographic films, the sexualization of minors for decades. But then they want to moralize to us about all the things going on. This is why I'm so annoyed. So before we even get to the slap, let me explain this. I'll show you this clip. Here's clip number 1. So the 3 women that host the Academy Awards. Here's the joke we start with. So let's play that.
Well, we're going to have a great night tonight. And for you people in Florida, we're going to have a gay night. Gay.
Okay, point number 1. The worst thing, the most immoral thing happening of the night is not the slap. The most immoral thing happening of the night is this moment, number 1, where all of a sudden the Academy Awards have to be turned in to a political statement for what is happening in Florida with Ron DeSantis and whatnot. And they're what the media and Hollywood and all of the left have now deemed the, quote, don't say gay bill. And I'm sure you already know this because a lot of you guys follow stuff. If you don't follow politics, here's the short version of this. This bill never uses the word gay in it, all right? This is a bill for kindergarten to 3rd graders. So we're talking about, what is that, 5 to 8 or 9 years old? 5 to 8, I think, is the age group typically. Let's just say 5 to 9 years old. In school, what they're saying is that school teachers may not instruct your kids about transgenderism, about gender theory, or same-sex marriage, and all these kind of things. In other words, we're keeping all the sex talk, all of the LGBTQ talk, we're keeping all of that out of K through 3rd grade. That's what the bill says. Why does the bill say that? Because in case you've been in a hole in the ground, and a lot of Christians still don't know this. By the way, there's a book out now some of you may really like. It's by Dr. Michael Brown. It is called The Silencing of the Lambs. Michael Brown is a Christian scholar, theologian. He has a radio show on The Line of Fire and whatnot. If you don't know who Michael Brown is, that's who he is. But he's written a book that I loved. I endorsed the book. It was really good, called The Silencing of the Lambs. It's about cancel culture and about what is happening. And already there have been a lot of responses because I texted him and I said, hey, how's the response going? He said, I can't believe the amount of people that do not know what's going on. And so if you follow Cooper stuff, you may know a lot of those things are already happening. But if you're new to Cooper stuff or you don't follow politics, you don't follow culture trends, you may not know. All right. So in case you don't know and you're just unaware of it, yes, your kids are being indoctrinated now, not just in kindergarten, pre-K, at age 4, into radical gender theory by teachers who they are activists towards teaching your kids radical gender theory. That's what they want to do. That's what they are doing. And there is a push, and I don't know if you've seen it or not, but there's a push to not only train your kids and indoctrinate them into radical gender theory, there's also a push, and this has happened in some schools, for the kids not to tell the parents. In other words, the parents don't need to know. They can't be involved. This isn't about what your parents say. This isn't about, Johnny, this isn't about your parents saying you're a boy. Doesn't matter about what your parents say. You need to decide for you. And they're giving them all this, the 32 genders or 24 or however many it is now. That is going on. And so Ron DeSantis in Florida is like, no, we don't want that. For 5 to 8-year-olds, right? So this is not a, quote, homophobic bill. It's not a transphobic bill. This isn't a nobody can ever use the word gay. And this isn't hate speech. It's none of those things. What this is simply saying this. For kindergartners through 3rd grade, which this doesn't go far enough, if you ask me. Anyway, we won't get into that. K through 3rd grade. Hey, teachers, K through 3rd grade, you're not supposed to talk to our kids about sex. And by the way, that's not just gay sex. That's heterosexual sex either. We don't need to be talking about sex at all. You don't need to be talking about body parts and this and that. You don't need to be talking about gender theory and queer theory and yada yada. For 5 to 8-year-old kids. All right, Bill Maher, the atheist liberal that I put him on here, I put his clips on here. Son, Bill Maher is just like, I don't understand why the left has a problem with this. You shouldn't be sexualizing kids. Your kids don't need to know about sex. That's not a thing they need to know about. That is not hatred. That is not even, it's not something we should be fighting about. Except, you know what? Hollywood thinks they need to. Why? Because they're the betters. We're the normies. They're, as Ben Shapiro says, they're the specials. They are going to be our spirit, not just our better. They're not just specials. They're not just better than you. They are more spiritual than you. They can lead you to utopia. They can lead you into a spiritual utopia. In fact, some of them, even though you'd never know they were actually saved, some of them are more Christian than you. They're more Jesus than Jesus. I'm going to show you a couple of clips later because we're going to talk about, nobody's talked about this. You're hearing on Cooper stuff. So the first thing that happens is they come out, for one thing, it's a bad joke. Gay, 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 gay. And they all start saying gay as if it's like, I don't know, you're somehow, sticking it to the man or something. I don't really know. Okay. But that's happening. So what you see in the beginning of this is Hollywood is letting you know, number one, not only are they better than you, they are more moral than you. And not only are they more moral than you, they are standing against people who say, hey, I don't want the government, Hollywood, my school teachers, the guy next door, the perv down the street. I don't want any of them talking to my 5 to 8-year-old about sex. That is a reasonable position, right? That's a reasonable position. Hollywood is saying, no, it's not. We know what is righteous for you, and we are going to get involved. And we're going to celebrate it. And we're going to force you to celebrate it. Well, let me show clip number 2 because I want you to show you the most I've ever liked John Travolta. Check it out. In that clip number 2, the most I've ever liked John Travolta is like, he's like, I know how to dance. So anyway, so you got John Travolta. Now, I'm not saying that means John Travolta is upset on a political. I have no idea what his politics are. He might have just been like, why is everybody laughing so hard at this? It's just not that funny of a joke. I can make a funnier joke right there now. Not even trying. Poop. Funnier. Anyway, I want you to notice there also, Denzel Washington is laughing really, really hard at the joke. Now that's going to be, I love Denzel. He's the man, but that's going to come back around later. So what we're seeing here is how Hollywood slaps you in the face. This is what you guys remember that time that Meryl Streep was making fun of middle America. And she's like, you're not going to have anything to watch if you keep this up except for, mixed martial arts, which I'm sorry is not actually art. I'm still offended about that. I'm not a fighter. I wish I was. I wish I could be an MMA fighter. That would be totally awesome. I need a good name like Shogun. Or like Spartacus. I'll think about that. And I will come back to you once I find a really great name for my MMA fighting. But that would be sick. I'm trying to be a cage fighter. Remember that Napoleon Dynamite? I need all the carbs I can get. All right. So you got things like that. Also note, though, as we're talking about the cesspool, these are the same people. I want you to when you listen to that clip, remember how hard everybody is cheering. Woo, gay, 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 gay. We're gonna make the kids gay. We're against the bill because we're good. And gay, 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 gay. Everybody's laughing. It's wonderful. That's going to come back up in a little while. You also have to remember this is the same group of people in that audience. I'm not saying literally every single one of them, but it's the same people from the same tribe, if you will, cut from the same cloth, who still to this day celebrates Roman Polanski, who's the director, who was a pedophile, who sexually abused a minor. Let's say that. Statutory rape. Can't come back to America. But from years ago, still celebrates him. They're like, Roman Polanski. I mean, celebrate. So we're in this situation where you can still celebrate and honor somebody who is guilty of statutory rape. All right? But they're still going to tell you how to live. This is why Hollywood honestly makes me so sick. It's not just that I disagree with them and I don't like their morals or whatever. I don't expect them to agree with my morals because I'm assuming that there's not a lot of born again people there. It's because they moralize to me when actually they're doing the whatever. So let's talk about a few things from the night that I want to point out that maybe I haven't heard a lot of other people say. Okay, let's watch this clip. What you're going to see here is the beginning. So basically, here's what's going on. Chris Rock is coming to present an award. He makes a joke about Will Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. And she, as you see, she has a shaved head. I didn't know that she had alopecia, which is a medical issue. I didn't know that. I just thought that she had shaved her head for whatever, for a role or because she likes it. I have no idea. Here's the thing, and I hope that nobody here gets offended at this because you know how I would never say something absolutely that's gross or anything like that. But I'm just going to say it. Jada Pinkett is beautiful. I've always thought she was beautiful. And when I saw her with a shaved head, I just thought, I can't believe that she can pull off a shaved head. She's just really, really pretty. So I had no idea there's anything going on, and I'm sure people won't be offended at me saying another woman's pretty. I'm not being gross. I'm just saying she's a beautiful woman, right? Chris Rock apparently did not know she has alopecia. I don't know if that's real or not. That's what he says. The point is that Chris Rock comes up. He makes a comment about her shaved head, compares it to G.I. Jane, which is an army film. And I want you to notice on the clip, at first, Will Smith laughs at it. Then you see Jada Pinkett get mad. Check it out.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? That was a nice one. Okay.
I want to mention this for this reason. At first, it seems like Will Smith was not offended. Now, it could be that maybe he didn't. Sometimes if you're in a award show, you can't quite hear what they're saying, or I don't know, you're in slow motion. Maybe you're nervous. You're not thinking. Maybe he didn't understand what the joke meant. Maybe he was laughing out of nervous. Maybe he was just like, oh yeah, that's kind of like not funny. Maybe he kind of thought, oh, we'll let it slide. Then he saw his wife, saw that she was not happy. I get that. If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. If my lady's not happy, then I'm like, wait a minute. I don't like this. I don't like this. So I get it. But the first thing that I want to say before we even go to the slap, this is really interesting. I want you to watch this clip that surfaced a couple days ago that happened, I believe, 3 days prior to the award show. You got to watch this clip from Jada Pinkett.
Like what my hair likes to do. So I had to learn to get the courage to just go, nah, I'm not doing that. Which is why I feel the freedom today. I don't give two craps what people feel about this bald head of mine, because guess what? I love it.
All right, the reason I'm showing you this clip is not to be mean. I'm in no way picking on Jada Pinkett. I feel really bad for her if she's got alopecia. That's bad. All right, I'm not picking on her at all. And I even get it. This isn't really to make fun of her. This is just to give all of you especially ladies out there, young girls, moms, I don't care how old you are, grandmoms that watch the show now, because I've met people in Winter Jam. Lots of grandmothers watch the show. I love you. I don't care how old you are. This is mainly for girls. I want you to realize, I wish I had a great name for this so you'd be like, John, you're so clever. But you have to realize that our culture is full of what I would call like, it's false fierceness. I just made that up right now. This is the process. Alliteration, false fierceness, alliteration. You get it. So it's a false fierceness. In other words, it's like fake. It's fake security. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So in other words, she's insecure about her condition, which I think I would imagine every woman would be, or most every woman would be. But in order to seem fierce, she's not just going to say, guys, I admit this has been really hard to take, but my identity is not in my hair and I'm going to rise above it. Now, that would be strength. But instead, it's false strength. It's, you know what? I'm beautiful the way I am. I don't give three poops what anybody has to say about this. And that's obviously not true. I'm not making fun of her. I understand why you might put up that kind of guard to sort of like, you know, I get it, to fortify yourself, to make yourself feel better, to make yourself be able to stand in the culture, whatever that may be. I totally get it. So honest to God, not making fun of her. I'm saying it because there's a culture of false fierceness that I think a lot of women think they have to have. I've noticed this where they're like, well, I just know that's not, because I can take on anything because I'm a powerful woman. But what I kind of find is like, nobody's as powerful as what you're saying. It's like you're saying a whole bunch of things, but you kind of clearly don't believe it. So again, I'm not beating up on her. I totally get where she's coming from. I understand why somebody would do that. But I think it would be better for us to say true things to women. I think it'd be better if women in power, if you want to say, would say things that are a little bit more true. And I think this is indicative of this whole Hollywood celebrity culture thing where they think they have to put up this big fake thing, whether it's on social media or in you know, celebrity culture, well, this and this and this, but it's not actually true. It shows you what I'm trying to say is that people don't really know who they are, and they're faking it so much of the time. But while they're faking it, they are trying to be your spiritual guru. They're going to take you to a new place, when in reality, they have no idea where they're going. They're just being thrown around in this, like, you know, on every wave, you know, and it's just like, it's the opposite of stability. Now, another interesting take came from a member of the House of Representatives from the Squad. Her name is Ayanna Pressley. I think she's from Massachusetts, I believe. She's a Democrat political leader, all right? And she has a shaved head. Now, I don't know if she has alopecia or I just always thought she shaved her head. I don't really know. But the point is that she tweeted after the slap heard around the world. She tweeted, she has since deleted, but she tweeted basically like support for Will Smith and support for all the women with beautiful shaved heads out there. And, you know, shaved heads, women with shaved heads are for men. Boys need not apply. I'm only saying this is because this is coming from the same people who don't believe in gender. You know, they don't believe there's any difference between men and women. And watching it, I'm like, all right, you guys you're one of the people, she's in that group of people that's constantly talking about toxic masculinity. If there ever was an actual example of toxic masculinity, it's Will Smith walking up during a award show and assaulting somebody for making a joke. So it's actually an appropriate of all the things that these lefties always say is toxic masculinity that actually isn't. Like if I say, actually, I'm the head of my household because God, that's toxic masculinity. Will Smith going up and slapping somebody for making fun of his wife is not. In fact, that's what real men do, even though we don't believe in men. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just sprinkling. You guys can take it, chew on it a little bit if you really want to. Next thing that we have to bring up is Will Smith ends up winning the award and he goes up to give a speech. Now, this is where I think that this is the stuff I really want to talk about. He goes up to give a speech. I should rewind. So when they cut to commercial break after the whole slap heard around the world, there's video of Denzel Washington going and talking to Will Smith, you know, this and the other, and sort of either comforting or being there for him, whatever that may be. So Will Smith wins. He goes to give the speech. We got to play a little bit of clips of this speech. What I want you to recognize now is how Will Smith basically takes what happened earlier and he connects that and basically says, I just am winning for playing this character who is a protector of people and a protector of women. And that is basically exactly like what I just did. So what I just did was actually definitional of love. So this is where all of a sudden I say it's a microcosm of what Hollywood is like in general. Hollywood has they have no moral compass. So they're the ones that are like hashtag me too while they are actually assaulting women, right? I mean, physical assault, sexual assault, whatever it may be. Actually assaulting women, but doing the hashtag me too. And if you don't put a hashtag me too, then you might not actually get any more gigs either because you got to we disassociate from you. We don't want you in our films because you're not woke enough. And we have to virtue signal, get you away. We're the good people. Yes, in real life, we're physically hurting women, but that doesn't actually matter because we virtue signal. We show how good people we are. That's exactly what Will Smith is about to do in this clip. Check it out.
Williams was a fierce defender of his family. In this time in my life, in this moment, I am overwhelmed by what God is calling on me to do and be in this world. Making this film, I got to protect Ingenue Ellis. I'm being called on in my life to love people and to protect people and to be a river to my people. Denzel said to me a few minutes ago, he said, at your highest moment, be careful, that's when the devil comes for you.
Okay, so Will Smith is talking about how God has a mission for him, and people love it. People are loving, like, woo, God, like wonderful stuff. His mission now is to love. He protects, he loves, he does this. Now, this is getting into where this is getting to where it gets pretty juicy. This is where it's starting to get really juicy. This is exactly what we are seeing in culture. You see it with social justice, secular social justice versus biblical justice. Things we talk about in Cooper stuff all the time. You have to know where your words are being defined from. So Will Smith is now saying, no, I protect people, I love people. So me slapping him is me loving my wife by protecting her honor. And I don't want to get mean and get whatever. And a lot of people have already covered this part on all their podcasts. Ben Shapiro, Michael Knowles, I think Ali Beth Stuckey, probably everybody ever. We're getting into the dicey territory, you see, of the weirdness of Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith's marriage. For years, people have talked about them having an open marriage. They're trying to clean that up now and try whatever. But we know that there is this awkward, weird, very postmodern-y, I mean, I hate to use the word because it's another buzzword, but very postmodern definitions of stuff. And when they don't like the definition, they say, well, no. So on her show, Red Table Talk, a couple of years ago, it came out that she had an affair with an artist. And so as they're talking about it, but she won't use the word affair. It was an entanglement. So this is how postmodern, and this is how sin works. And this is how the modern culture that we're in works right now. You start fiddling with language. It's not an affair, okay? It's not an affair. It's an entanglement. Honey, I saw you out with that girl. Were you sleeping with her? No. It was an entanglement, you know. Like what, you playing Twister? Yeah, we were tangled up in Twister. Which is an old game if you don't know what Twister is, and kind of funny, kind of euphemistic. So no, we're entangled. So there's all this stuff. So we're getting down to this. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but maybe I will play you another clip in a second where Will Smith now is saying, oh, no, we never had infidelity. So we have always known what each other were doing. But we know that they actually did cheat on each other. It's all come out. But what he's saying, now he's defining an infidelity not as actual breaking like marital vows and being unfaithful. No. Now it's defined by the fact that if I didn't know you were breaking, the fact that I know it's happening then makes it not an infidelity. But all you got to do is play with words. So you're dealing with a situation where somebody's saying, "I love my wife enough to stand up for her," because that's what love is. Love is also allowing my wife to have having relations is good. Having sexual relations with someone else. So what we're saying is, I will defend her honor if you say something bad about her. I will not defend her honor when it comes to her having an entanglement, because I knew about it. So it's not actually bad. The reason this is also so very frustrating to me, there's some really dark stuff. I just got to mention this. So Jada Pinkett, basically, here's her take on this. She had an affair, actually not just an affair, a relationship with an artist that was it's a guy that's only like 3 years older than her actual kid. So it's a young guy. But when she talks about it, she was very candid. She's like, look, that was at a time in my life, me and Will weren't doing good, or yada, yada. Or I don't remember what she said, something like that. It was a bad, hard time in my life. I was going through a whole lot. I needed healing. And this guy, this singer, the one that's only a few years older than her, like I think literally 3 years older than her kids. That guy came to me and Will for help in his life, for counsel. And he needed healing, and he needed somebody to help him walk through his problems. And so that was a very special time for me. So I hate to say this, I don't want to be like hyperbolic, but what you're actually dealing with, imagine those sexes were reversed. Imagine this was Will Smith with a girl his kid's age that came to him and Jada for marital counseling and just saying, I'm going through hard times in my life. And Will's like, I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to help you grow up. I'm going to help you become a woman. And then we end up sleeping together and having this relationship. Imagine that had happened. That would be really, really frowned upon. Well, that's what happens with Jada Pinkett. And they're not even bothered to say it. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, they're not even bothered to say, yeah, this is what happened. It was an entanglement. But you're dealing with something pretty dark here, which is someone that came to you guys for help, and you began to be there for him as almost like an older mentor. And part of his healing was your sexual relationship. That's some pretty dark stuff right there. That is Hollywood. Those are the people that say, but you know what? I'm going to tell you how to live your life because I know what is moral. And it is my job now as a voice from God, apparently, to show the world what true love is. I'm going to be a river to my people. And hopefully part of that river is not you being a young person that needs direction in your life that I can lead into sexual healing. I'm throwing it out there. I'm throwing it out there. So you start to begin to deal with some very, very dark stuff. All right, so the next thing I want to say is this. You notice everybody's out there clapping. They're the same people cheering. God's called me to be an instrument of love in this world. The same people cheering for all the people that were like, woo, we're going to sexualize your 5-year-old because they're bad people. They won't let me sexualize your 5-year-old. Why are they not letting you do it? Because they are hateful people. But we are people of love. And love would say, give me your kid and let me teach them about radical gender theory. Why are you putting up a fight? Why are you putting up a fight? This is going to be good for you. Give me your children.
That's not right.
No, it is actually not right at all. So the same people clapping for woo are now clapping for woo, a voice of God. Now we're starting to get into the juicy parts. All of a sudden, Hollywood believes in God. All of a sudden, having a voice from God and a mission from God in the earth, well, that's all of a sudden a really good thing. I wonder if Hollywood will like me now because I have a mission from God in the earth as well. That is to tell people to repent and be born again through Jesus Christ, who died on the cross, paid a ransom for you, took your sin and the guilt of my sin and the wrath of God onto himself so that me and you could be justified. He rose from the dead. He's alive today. Because of Jesus' resurrection, then I will be resurrected to a brand new life. That's my mission. Does Hollywood love me now? Woo! How you like me now? Somehow, I don't think they're really into my mission. But Will Smith's mission from God. Yeah! I know some Christians are like, no, I heard he really is. I think he really is a Christian. How do I know what God's actually doing in his heart? I really don't know. But how are these things actually defined? What's the fruit? There's a big old fruit tree up here that says, and being entangled is not adultery. There's a fruit tree right here, and as you inspect the fruit, you're looking around, you're like, oh, okay, it's not marital infidelity as long as we know about it. I think one of the quotes from Will Smith is like, the highest form of love is not saying you have to be monogamous to me. It's allowing them the freedom to be monogamous to me. That's the highest form of love. How's that fruit tasting? How's that fruit? We're inspecting the fruit. We got any fruit of repentance in here? I don't know. You judge for yourself. So, you notice, he says, now I'm about to say he's going to make some people mad. I'm just saying. So then he's like, Denzel came up to me in the break and he said, careful, in your highest moment, that's when the devil comes. Do you guys hear everybody in the room? Woo, woo, preach. Oh, Merce, come on. Yeah. The same people, gay, 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 gay. Give me your kids. Let's come and sniff them. That's not right. That's not right. Give me your kids. The same ones clapping are the same ones. Ooh, the devil's. Now they don't just believe in the mission of God. They believe that the devil is real as well. Just saying. What's going on here? What's going on here? I want to say this. This proves, I told you guys a few months ago, great wisdom from one of my mentors, Dana Key, from the great legendary band DeGarmo and Key. If you tell the world that you're into Jesus, the world will love you. If you live like Jesus, the world will hate you. Oh, we're about to preach. I'll say it again. You tell the world that I'm into Jesus. Oh man, yeah. You into Buddha too? Oh, Buddha, it's all the same. That's great. You must be a really good person because God is love. God loves people and he gives them the happies. Doesn't give them the sads. God loves people. He's making a table. It's so good. You see, the world will love you if you're into Jesus. I got a mission of love to the world. It includes slapping somebody for disrespecting my wife, but allowing another man to share the bedroom. That's not disrespectful at all. That's different because the highest form of love is it's agape. I'm serving her. I'm going to serve you, honey, by letting another man serve you. It's really dark. The world will love you if you say you love Jesus, but if you live like Jesus, they are not going to love you. So you get the same people in there. Oh, woo! That sounds good. The highest point, the devil's going to come after you. That is a great saying from Denzel Washington, by the way. At your highest point, that's when the devil comes. That's a great saying. It's not always true, but it is a great, great saying. Because at your highest point, sometimes the judgment of God comes too. Oh, no, he did. Yes, I did. That's a great saying. It's not always true. Pride cometh before the fall. Sometimes it's at your highest point when God says, you know what? I'm going to pull back. Come in grace just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm going to pull that come in grace just a little bit. We're going to give you a little bit of a taste. We'll give you a little bit of a taste. And that's what we see 3 days later when Will Smith is like, I'm sorry, guys. I lost my mind. I don't know what happened. I went temporarily. I actually went so crazy. I do not know how I snapped like that. Common grace. If we are not reaching out to the grace of God, I'm talk about this later. I'm talking about it right now. I'm not trying to be mean. Am I saying the judgment of God? No, I'm just saying it could be. But I will tell you this. Just because you're at your highest and things were bad doesn't necessarily mean the devil came for you. It just might mean that you are reaping what you have sown. And if what you have in your heart going on is actual chaos, then you are going to reap the benefits, I shouldn't say benefits, of chaos. The consequences, you're going to reap. You got the fruit. How's the fruit tasting? What's in this fruit? Looks like chaos to me. Looks like confusion to me. Hollywood, we're the ones that love people. Give me your kids. Let me ruin their lives. Give me your kids. Let me train them up in the way they should go into radical gender theory and chaos. Sexualize them at a young age. Hollywood doesn't mind sexualizing your kids. That's why they're like, that's right, gay, this is great. Oh, yeah. Moral anarchy. Oh. Now, I got to say something about Denzel. I like Denzel Washington. He says a lot of things that I love, a lot of things I amen. I can't believe he gets away with it in Hollywood. But do you notice the difference between John Travolta's response and Denzel's response? I'm not saying that means something. I'm saying, what would it be like if you were there? And everybody was like, hey, we're just going to slam those people down in Florida, the ones that are saying, stop sexualizing my K through third grade, my 5-year-old. We're going to slam them and let them know we're not like you. We're better than you. We're more moral than you. And we're going to celebrate that fact tonight with some moral anarchy. Would you be laughing? Or would you be like John Travolta? I love Denzel, so nobody'd say that I don't. I do. I love him. Can I read you the absolute worst take that I saw on the internet from what happened? You ready for this? Actually, I will let you know this right about now. You are not ready for this. This is the worst take that I saw about all of this. All right, this is on Forbes.com. While talking about Will Smith's behavior, don't forget to also talk about the system that helped create it. You know where this is going. Everyone is still talking about last night's Oscars. All right, I'm not going to go. So they're basically saying various conspiracy theories, this and this and this. But perhaps the larger question that should be asked is why blacks in Hollywood have routinely been expected to grin and bear embarrassment and degradation without expressing any discontent or risk being viewed as angry. In other words, this is the thing that these people write. They write these think pieces, and then you go, okay, so are you saying then that it's okay? I think what you're saying is it's actually okay. It's not okay if a white person goes and slaps a white person. But if a black person slaps a black person, then that's okay because you can't expect them to sit around and take this. Do you see how the left, do you see how their minds they're not consistent? It gives you an idea of why the left is constantly talking about, the evils of gun control or this, but they never, ever do anything to help cities that are minorities. You know what I mean? Like cities that are, you're talking about Chicago, the murders in Chicago. The murder rate is absolutely astonishing. And it's mainly going to be black on black crime. And that's just a fact. That's not being mean. Every colored skin, every group is basically what they call intraracial violence. In other words, when white people commit violence, it's usually against white people. When black people commit violence, it's usually against black people. You tend to stay within your color groups. I don't really know why that is. Not smart enough. But that's how it is. Intraracial violence is what they call it. Well, maybe this is kind of why. You can't just expect black people to sit there after years of degradation to sit there and listen to another black man make fun of her. You can't expect that. And maybe if you do expect it, then you're the problem. In fact, kind of racist. Furthermore, why is it permissible for a black woman's health condition to be made content for a cheap laughs at an award show? And how will this incident overshadow the hard work of Will Packer, the black man who produced the award show with an all-black team for the first time in history? Well, of course, we agree with that. While hosting last night's Oscar award ceremony, Chris Rock said, "Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane, can't wait to see you." So on and so forth. You know the story. She's talking about Will Smith's acceptance speech. He also shared that he has had to turn the other cheek in previous incidents in which he felt disrespected throughout his career. You got to smile. You got to pretend like that's okay, he said. However, last night, the Fresh Prince appeared fed up. Some argue that while violence should never be condoned, perhaps there is a space to hold empathy for a man who works in an industry that promotes steppin' and fetch it politics and asks for blacks and other people of color to grin and bear experiences of embarrassment and degradation or risk being labeled as angry or aggressive. So once again, this is what the left does. They want to segregate morality. So now they want to say, it's actually okay. We should have a different set of morality for these people than for these people. Now, we have no idea if Will Smith, the career he's had to put up with, has anything to do with the color of his skin or not. Anybody in the limelight, trust me, gets a lot of hate. And I'm nothing in the limelight like those people. And I get hate. Yeah, it's not fun. People said stuff about my wife, the way she dresses or this, or the color of her hair looking crazy. We don't know if that's even what it is, but what they're saying is it doesn't matter. The color of your skin puts you into a situation where maybe these kind of people, they should have a different standard about the law than other kind of people. I mean, this is what we're living through. Back to the article. Some argue that this is not about Will Smith and Chris Rock being black, or Will Smith setting black people back. This is about a much larger systemic issue rooted in white supremacist culture designed to police the behavior of blacks amongst the who's who in Hollywood and beyond. This is amazing. It's actually the opposite of truth. Like, what they're saying is, well, that's white supremacist culture. We're we're going to control the behavior of blacks amongst the who's who in Hollywood. Let me ask you a question. If this incident did not happen in Hollywood, do you think there'd be a different reaction? Like, this article is making it sound like the only reason there's this reaction is because they're in Hollywood and black people are in the who's who and white supremacist culture. No, if this was a normie black person, they'd be in jail. So actually, the opposite of what the article is saying is true. But I don't expect lefties to be consistent on honestly, on much of anything. All right, back to this. Respectability politics suggests that equity and fair treatment require that black people, both inside and outside of Hollywood, conduct themselves in a manner deemed acceptable to whites. This is amazing to me. Furthermore, expressing any emotion other than complacence, apathy, or agreeance directly violates those norms, disqualifying black people from receiving the same equitable treatment that whites enjoy as a birthright. And sadly, there is a large group of blacks who have internalized this toxic messaging. In case you don't know when they say that blacks have internalized, what they're saying is this. There's whiteness. Whiteness is not the same thing as being white. Whiteness is its own, like, power, I guess you would say. And whiteness itself defined what is right and wrong in a culture. And whiteness was a category created to benefit people that had white skin that could kind of fit into that category. And it was made in order to give benefits to the people that look a certain way and specifically to harm people that do not have white skin. So it gives me benefits, it hurts other people. That's sort of like what whiteness is, if you will. If black people find themselves agreeing with tenets of whiteness. Now, listen, this is where it gets in. This is where it gets a little bit, hazy. Tenets of whiteness are things like a belief in objective truth, showing up on time, Protestant work ethic, monotheism, all these kind of things. Those things are products of whiteness. And so if black people look at those things and say, well, I also believe in showing up on time, and I also believe in whatever, and monotheism and yada, yada. What they're trying to say is that in a certain way, I guess in layman's term, what they're saying is yeah, they're acting white. That's what they're trying to say. That's the white way to act. It's not better. It's not right. Objective truth is not actually like where we say, that's actually, the scientific method is another one they say is a product of whiteness. We don't look at that and say, actually, I objectively say the scientific method is a really good thing that we all should have. They would say there is no objective truth. You just say that you think it's true because whiteness has taught you that. So if black people also think that, they are internalizing whiteness. So what this person is saying is if there's a bunch of black people that they're saying, I don't like that Will Smith did this. That's just, you shouldn't be attacking people like that. Well, that means those black people are internalizing whiteness. Does that make sense? They're internalizing whiteness from this white superstructure, and it's making them think sort of like what white people think, which in itself is supporting white supremacy. That's what it means. So why should it be acceptable for black women to be made the exception? And why is the public so eager to only wag their fingers in judgment of Smith's behavior and not question the racist system that was designed to incubate his and so many others' frustrations? Perhaps the most tremendous disservice this rumble has caused was overshadowing history being made, the hard work of Will Packer, the first black man to produce the esteemed award ceremony with an all-black production team. This was written by somebody, I'm going to get the name wrong, nobody be mad at me, by somebody I believe is Maya Niguel Huskin. And you're going to be absolutely shocked to find this out. She is a writer, an activist, which is not surprising, but most shockingly, wait for it, she's a college professor. I know. You never saw that coming. This is who we're paying a bunch of money to explain to you that when a black man, Chris Rock, is making a joke at the expense of a black woman, that woman's black husband goes up and assaults the black man. All of this is white supremacy. It's white supremacy that caused Chris Rock to make the joke. It's white supremacy that caused Will Smith to be so offended that he assaulted Chris Rock. And it's white supremacy that makes white people say he shouldn't have done that. And it's white supremacy that makes black people say, I agree, he shouldn't have done that. All of this is white supremacy. This is the reason that we can sit and talk for hours and hours at a time with people, with friends of mine that I love that disagree with me about critical race theory and whiteness studies and racism and systemic racism in the church. I can talk for hours about this, and in the end, I'm like, I don't really know what you mean. Are you saying that it should be okay for black men to slap other black men on an award show over a petty violation? But that is, by the way, this is the very definition of when Jesus says if somebody slaps you on the cheek, turn the other cheek. That scripture, and as far as I understand and my interpretation of it, that I think a lot of people hold, is that Jesus wasn't just saying in your life, never ever stand up for yourself. Don't defend yourself. I always took that to mean, yes, if somebody comes and gives you a petty violation, don't make a big stink about petty violations. You're bigger than that because the kingdom of God has done something in your heart. They slap you, if they slap you on the cheek, yeah, turn the other cheek. I don't know if I'm being too literal here, but being slapped on the cheek seems different than being punched in the face to me. So I'm assuming that plays into Jesus. If you're slapped on the cheek, turn the other cheek. Don't get all worked up about a petty violation. So I say to my Christian friends that are like, John, you don't get it. You're supporting white supremacy. I'm like, are you saying that then it is good for us to say, I actually think it's good for a black man, or that maybe it's not good, but it's acceptable, or I definitely need to not say anything about it because I understand why he does that. It's because of systemic oppression. I don't really know where to go. That's why I say I'm done with all those arguments. I mean, I'm not saying I don't love the people anymore. I'm not saying I won't have a discussion, but I am not losing sleep over those discussions anymore because they're completely illogical. They're just completely illogical. In the end, the Bible tells us how to live. Turn the other cheek. The Bible tells us how to live. Don't go and assault someone else. The Bible tells us how to live. Don't cheat on your spouse and call it an entanglement. The Bible tells us how to live. Don't just say that you're on a mission from God. Live like you're on a mission from God. The Bible tells us how to live. Don't indoctrinate your kids into radical gender theory at age 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. And don't celebrate, come on, moral anarchy. I don't know. And you know what? Do not listen to Hollywood. They hate you. They hate your morals. They hate our religion. I don't care if they get up there and thank God or not. It doesn't matter. You know why? We got fruit. What's the fruit? Picking it down. Is it rotten? Yes. It's probably rotten. Are there people saved in Hollywood? Yes, I think there probably are. Maybe not many. And I think the ones that are absolutely rightly afraid to say anything because you will not be invited back. That is my take on why the Will Smith slapping Chris Rock is not really about Will Smith or Chris Rock. It's certainly not about white supremacy. It's about the fact that Hollywood slaps us over and over again. Stop listening to them and listen to Cooper stuff. And
read the Bible.
Come on!